RealJudah.
You down. Wash all your private parts. Bet you I hold it down. Cause you my weaker part. See, I need the spirit to get with the spirit. If there is no spirit, then you can't get near it. There is a message deep inside these lyrics. If you don't got spirit, then you cannot hear it. Got you in putting in work like you Priscilla. Combine the body, girl, call me Aquila. Love on your fruits and my fruits are not bitter. They shoot, but you won't let they bows in your quiver. Like David, they should know your king is a killer. They blood ain't enough if they try to get with you. See, I can turn you on, just saying scriptures, sing songs like Solomon, just painting pictures.
Processes inside me, form into your image. Can't no nigga try me. Glad to be a bride. There's nowhere that I'd rather I be. Nowhere that I'd rather be. You ain't gotta beg, you know never plead. Through the highs and lows to the day we flee. Out of Babylon, over across the seas. Ain't no guarantee that it won't be rough, but ain't no breaking up. Babe, we pray for us and then discuss. If need readjust, I want you to trust. I can't get enough.
First I got your spirit. Then I got your body. First I got your spirit. Then I got your body. First I got your spirit. First I got your spirit.
Yo, Shalom family, our praises to Kahi, the Ruach Kadash, the Holy Spirit. Our praises to Enoch, he said. That's Ahayah he said, the great I am, loving kindness. Our praises to Moses the Lamb, our minister of forgiveness, YASHAYA, our Savior. Welcome to another installment of Clear Eyes, no Visine. We're back in the Remembrance of Enoch series. In the last episode titled Establishing Yod, we saw other righteous individuals other than Enoch who helped make Yod, which is the true church of God, and Maim, which is Zion, a living entity. In this episode, Enoch is back to dividing again. The last episode ended with Enoch and Edney being concerned with the welfare of the righteous. Because of the division set in place by Enoch, the wicked and the righteous division grew more intense. The wicked was starting to put unwanted pressure on the righteous. Enoch needed to do something in the spirit to protect the righteous. This episode, including the next 2 episodes, will be part of a 3-part series dealing with what Enoch put in place to protect the righteous, clear into these last days. Man, look, y'all mash on the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so, hit the bell so you're notified every time we drop something new, RealJudah.com. We got links to where you can get these books. What books? The books of remembrances, the book Remembrance of Ahayah, the first and second book, the book Remembrance of Enoch, which is the book of the episode, or which is the book we're going to be getting into in this episode and this series, right? The book of Remembrance of our ancient grandmothers, the book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, and the newest book of the series, the book of Remembrance of Moses, the book of the law, fire material. Man, y'all get these books, they game changers. Y'all go to the beginning of this playlist if this your first time here, or if you ain't heard that often, you know what I'm saying? For real. Get a grasp of what we talking about on here, what these books is bringing out. Man, y'all, let's get busy though. Enough talking. But before we get started, let's start off the right way, right? Revelation 3:18. Baby, read that.
I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich in white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see.
And anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. Clear eyes, no Visine, family. Let go. Alright, man. Like I said, we back in the book of Remembrance of Enoch. We're going to be in chapter 12 today. Chapter 12. We're going to start at verse 1. Verse 1 of chapter 12. Let's get it. Baby, read.
Now it came to pass that the Kadeshi began to respond to the righteous acts of Enoch, when he divided the sons of heaven with the waters of Sinir.
With the waters of Sinir. Read about that. We read about that in the episode titled Dividing the Sons of Heaven. In this same series, the name of this playlist is The Remembrance of Enoch. In that episode, Dividing the Sons of Heaven, Enoch divided between the holy watchers and the fallen watchers. He showed that the holy watchers were obedient to the Most High, and the fallen watchers were rebellious and evil. Enoch also named all the watchers. He named the holy ones and the fallen ones. Y'all go back and check that episode out. Let's start verse 1 over.
Now it came to pass that the Kadeshi began to respond to the righteous acts of Enoch, when he divided the sons of heaven with the waters of Sinir. And by his naming the Dekadarshi, the wicked among them began to choose more purposefully the evil that they enjoyed. And also the Kadeshi, by their their receiving names, began to feel their commitment to abide in utter holiness before the face of Enoch, said.
Before the face of Enoch, said. Names hold weight. Their names reflected their creative purpose. So the Dekadarshi, who are the fallen watchers, would more knowingly go against their creative purpose. They truly chose to do it. And the Kadeshi, who are the holy watchers, the receiving of their names made them able to feel their commitment to stay in utter holiness in the face of Enoch, said. That means they are holy all the time, because we are always in the face of Enoch, said, the Most High, right? Let's keep reading verse 3.
And these two influences began to have a profound effect upon creation and all of the peoples of the earth. And
these two influences, what two influences? Separating the watchers, dividing them between holy watchers and fallen watchers, and naming the watchers. These two influences, what? Start verse 3 over.
And these two influences begin to have a profound effect upon creation and all of the peoples of the earth. And the separation and the distinction between the righteous and the wicked began to be enlarged upon, to be very plain in the hearts of all of the living souls in creation.
The righteous, once they gained the understanding concerning the holy and fallen watchers, strictly dealt with the holy watchers. And those holy watchers influenced repentance in their lives, influenced loving kindness in their lives. Those Kodeshi influence the power of godliness needed to make Maim, Zion, a living entity. Remember, these angels, the holy and the fallen watchers, are creation. The rocks, the clouds, the ocean, the mountains. Those are some of the Air Kodeshi. Some of the holy watchers, meteor iron, or those are the holy watchers. The watchers, meteor iron, generated electricity, uranium. Those are some of the fallen watchers, the Decadashi, right? That's why on this channel we are always saying creation is alive. These angels, these watchers have profound influence in our lives, good or bad. That's if we know it or not. They whisper to our subconsciousness. The Air Kodeshi whisper holy things to us, things that bring life. And the Decadashi, which are the fallen watcher, whisper things that lead ones to kill, steal, and destroy. So these divisions that Enoch put in place made the differences between the wicked and the righteous stand out even more. Let's keep reading, verse 4.
And the wicked began to separate from one another more and more.
More and more. The wicked were even separating from each other. Why? Start verse 4 over.
And the wicked began to separate from one another more and more, for their fear of their neighbors, and their dread of the people of the secret society of Seku.
For fear of their neighbors and their dread of the people of the secret society of Seku. The secret society of Seku was the world's first secret society. We briefly read and spoke about them in our last episode. The world outside of Maim is becoming a much more wicked place in Enoch's time. Let's start verse 4 over.
And the wicked began to separate from one another more and more, for their fear of their neighbors, and their dread of the people of the secret society of Seku. And those with whom they had exchanged every day were seen by them in their souls to be their enemies. For to the wicked, their enemies were everywhere, and no one could be trusted.
Doesn't that sound like most of the world today? Enemies everywhere. No one could be trusted. Keep it real. You are blessed if you live in a neighborhood where you are comfortable letting your children play outside. Huh? Real talk. You gonna let your children play outside unattended? Let's keep reading. For the wicked, their enemies were.
For the wicked, their enemies were everywhere, and no one could be trusted. And their language began to become increasingly more diverse. And they were compelled to speak and to act in secret with those with whom they could confide. And those with whom they could confide were small in number.
The division Enoch established between the watchers brought this division between the righteous and the wicked. It was causing a division between the wicked. Why? Let's keep reading verse 5.
And because of all of these things, the peoples of the lands of Towa and Ahayah became very skilled in expressions of subtleties and the dishonesty that became the foundations of diplomacy.
If you have been following along in this series or reading these books for yourselves, you know that Ahayah and Towa are the two cities where the wicked dwell. Ahayah is a bad place, but Towa is the pit, what we would call the gutter, right? Read verse 5 again.
And because of all of these things, the people of the land of Towa and Ahayah became very skilled in expressions of subtleties and the dishonesty that became the foundations of diplomacy.
Because of the divisions amongst the wicked. Start verse 5 over.
And because of all of these things, the peoples of the lands of Towa and Ahayah became very skilled in expressions of subtleties and the dishonesty that became the foundations of diplomacy.
The righteous lived in communities where they could trust each other. The wicked lived in cities where they could not trust each other. And because people lived in an environment where they could not trust each other, subtleties developed. It said they became very skilled at expressions of subtlety and the dishonesty that became the foundation of diplomacy. Oh, you're a diplomat, huh? Interesting. It's the same dynamic today. The deeper into the Babylonian system you get, the deeper into the Babylonian system you get into, the more that you become dishonest. The dishonesty becomes normal. You see why the Lord said, come up out of her, my people? Let's keep reading. Verse 6.
And the heart of Enoch, he said, was burdened because some of the handiwork of his love became cunning, and the predators of the innocent and of the unfortunate or weak.
These things are a burden to Enoch, he said. The Most High, Ahayah. Look, these things are a burden to him. The Most High created us to showcase his love and kindness. But look at the evil that men do. Verse 7.
And these great calamities came upon the wicked in a very short space of time, and the spirit of vengeance abounded among them, and learning mischief became the pursuit of their youth.
Learning mischief became the pursuit of their youth. The youngsters were looking to learn wickedness. Look around today. Are our children not in the same position, especially here in the USA? Right? Learning mischief became the pursuit of their youth. Man, hold up. Starts verse 7 over.
And these great calamities came upon the wicked in a very short space of time, and the spirit of vengeance abounded among them, and learning mischief became the pursuit of their youth, and sorcery, and the secret society of Seku flourished, and it practiced and prospered, and there began to be many works done in the darkness.
And sorcery. And yet the same thing is happening today. Sorcery is a major thing in the earth today. It's been a big thing in the earth since before Enoch's time. Let's keep reading. Verse 8.
And it came to pass that among the wicked there also began to be much want of food, because their secret acts in the darkness kept them from the hunt, and weakened them in their daily labors. And the spirit of Enoch, he said, was unable to guide them in their attempts to till the earth.
And the spirit of Enoch, he said, was unable to guide them in their attempts to till the earth. This is a connection we are supposed to have with creation. When we are plugged into creation, creation will guide us. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? When we are plugged into creation, creation will guide us. But because the wicked were living in a way that separated them from the Aral Kodeshi, so the Aral Kodeshi were unable to support them in their needs to survive, right? The wicked were steady losing a connection with their ecosystem. So the wicked were starting to go hungry. Verse 9, read.
And cries ascended up from among the people because their practice of having Nephilim brought so much violence.
In the times of Enoch, the wicked were also dealing with the Nephilim. Father willing, we will deal with the Nephilim from the perspective of the books of Remembrances, right? Start verse 9 over.
And cries ascended up from among the people because their practice of having Nephilim brought so much violence. And these things began to use up all of their ability to provide for themselves. And there were many wicked men who would only provide for themselves, for they had no loved ones. And among the wicked, families became dispersed. And there were many who lived without a father, and they did not know who their relatives were. And there was poverty everywhere.
Tell me that doesn't sound like the world today. Many who live without a father. This was the environment of the wicked. This is a normal state of being in a society today that we are in. There was poverty everywhere. Verse 10, let's read.
But among the righteous there was a growing sense of joy, in anticipation to be gathered into community.
Among the righteous there was what? Start verse 10 over.
But among the righteous there was a growing sense of joy, and anticipation to be gathered into community.
The righteous, contrary to the wicked, had a growing sense of joy and anticipation to be part of a righteous community. That same spirit is starting to sweep the earth today. Start verse 10 over.
But among the righteous there was a growing sense of joy and anticipation to be gathered into community. And they enlarged their acquaintances and friendships, and their families became bonded in strength. And there was great honor shown for fathers and mothers, and the prosperity among the righteous comforted Enoch, he said.
The actions of the wicked were a burden to the Most High, Enoch, he said. But the actions of the righteous was a comfort to Enoch, he said. There was a trust in the community of the righteous. Families were together and strong. Let's keep reading. Verse 11.
And the wisdom and understanding of the righteous grew, because their friends and acquaintances began to be expanded to include the diversity of the many and various loved ones who gathered into Maim. And they were free to love and trust strangers whom they had never known before. And they began to grow in the charity of their hearts.
Wisdom and understanding of the righteous grew because they had friendly relations with a variety of people. Friends and family from all over were gathering into Maim. So understanding from all over was gathering into Maim. Maim is Zion. It's important that we understand that, family. I'm speaking to the Israelites right now. Zion is going to consist of many nations. Israel is Israel, right? But we are going to be leading the way to bring a gathering to Zion, which is going to be many nations, not just Israel. Just like it was in Enoch's time, people from all over coming together to bring a complete look and function of Enoch, he said. Let's keep reading. Verse 11. Oh no, my bad. We at verse 12.
And they began to develop the language necessary to rehearse to one another the intimacies that they had in their lives among themselves and with their Creator. And it was their desires to share these things of heaven that caused them to begin to purify their language so that they could share their innermost thoughts and feelings with one another. And their speech became less and less diverse. And their children were taught to speak with words of distinction. And the intelligence found in Eden began to be seen again by the Erekadeshi in the temporal world. And the righteous loved the differences which they had found in one another. And they were delighted with the various expressions found in different customs and habits of those who gathered to Maim.
The wicked spoke with subtleties, and the righteous spoke with distinction. With distinction. They spoke clearly. We've been raised in modern day Ahayah and Torah. The more cryptic our language, the more credit we had, the more deceptive we are, the more real we are labeled. Babylon taught us to have classes. The upper class, the middle class, the lower class. The righteous in Enoch's time had no classes. They loved their differences and respected each other. Which society would you rather be part of? Which society would you rather be part of? Verse 14.
And there was a wave of enthusiasm to join together with their fellows. And many who had been reclusive since the beginning joyously bound their hearts and souls with the righteous. And truth and the freedom of openness abounded with the righteous. Now all of these changes among the righteous came about in the northern regions of Enoch, where the people had migrated in order to find suitable land to till. And this land was new to them all. And their common displacement magnified their ability to accept one another openly. And in the northern regions of Enoch, there was much water, and there was a great sea that was fed by two streams. One came from Mount Mahujah, and it was the waters of Sinir, which became known as the waters of Bedau, because Enoch divided the waters there. And the river Bedau emptied into the southern borders of the sea.
We read about the waters of Sinir in our episode titled Dividing the Fallen Watchers. And the river of Sinir is the river where YASHAYA, who we know as Adam, met Kavah, who we know as Eve. A droplet of the water landed on her cheek, and YASHAYA, Adam, wiped it off. Awesome account. We went over that account earlier in this series also. So the waters of Sinir emptied into the eastern borders of the sea, right? Let's keep reading, verse 17.
And the other river was the waters of Simcha, from which came the droplet upon the cheek of Kavah, and it emptied into the eastern borders of the sea. And old Edra named the sea the Aral Sea, and it was the first water of the seas of the earth to be given a righteous name by man. And Edra went out into the waters, and the fish and the water bugs gathered around him. And the water birds were unafraid. And he cast the element of righteousness upon the water, and he said, Great water, you shall be called the Aral Sea.
Creation is alive, family. Edra is one of the sons of Yatsakad. In our episode titled Enoch and Eric Kadeshi, Edra saved the village by his ability to control the fire. The fire, right? Edra had a relationship with the Eric Kadeshi. Edra stepped into the sea and spoke to the sea. What did Edra say? Read that again. Great waters.
Great water, you shall be called the Aral Sea, as long as the earth shall stand, because Moses the Lamb is our hero. And he followed our first parents out of Eden, for he is the living water. And now we see that the waters of Eden flow here to this place with us to give us life, just as Moses comes to us to give us life, get life-giving forgiveness and renewal. And all of the people rejoiced and took much delight in their Redeemer, who is Moses the Lamb.
So Edra named this the sea that Simcha emptied into the Aral Sea, the Aral Sea or Aral Sea. He named it after Moses the Lamb. Moses is what the ancients called Hamashiach, what they called Christ. You know, Jesus, Yeshua, Yasha, whatever name you call him. That's who they called him in the ancients, Moses the Lamb, right? So Edra named the Aral Sea after Moses. Moses is Christ, right? He said because Moses is our hero. Let's do that. Let's get Aral in the concordance. Aral. We're looking up the Aral Sea. Aral in concordance H691. Aral, valiant one, which is another way to say hero, right? Because the river was with Yatsakad and Kavah in the beginning. It had a major significance to our foreparents. That river flows all the way to the Aral Sea, like Christ has flowed with them in their entire walk. Christ is the living water, and the waters of the earth represent that to the people of Maim. They were on a journey in life like the waters, right? Very interesting. Trying to get back to Eden. Eden is represented by the Aral Sea. You get it? And this holy city that they were creating, Zion, was located right where the river Simcha emptied out into the Aral Sea. So the river and the sea told a story to our ancient ancestors. The living water led them to salvation. Their hero, our hero, did that. All praises. That is the background on the Aral Sea. It's interesting to see the culture of the ancients. This wasn't just no superstition thing. They understood creation is alive. They had a relationship with their ecosystem. Let's keep reading. Verse 19.
And Edra said aloud, we come this day to baptize in you, and our souls shall be made whole. And multitudes went to be baptized in the waters of Simcha, where they emptied into the Aral Sea. And it came to pass that the people began to call all the regions surrounding the Aral Sea the land of Maim, even the lands to the north and west. And there were great provisions there in abundance upon the land, and in the marshes, and in the sea. And all of the people began to till the earth to provide for their little ones, and happiness abounded. And Enoch said was well pleased.
The Aral Sea signified a renewal to the righteous, a purification. They all got baptized in the waters. Now the lands to the north and west of the Aral Sea is considered Maim. Maim is the original name of Zion. The Lord was blessing the righteous. It said that there was provision in abundance. Provision in abundance upon the land, in the marshes and in the sea. The people were happy, and Enoch said the Most High was well pleased. Let's keep reading. Verse 21.
And it was now 270 years between the time Yatsakad and Kavah passed through the oaks of Pathak.
Let's pay attention here. They are giving us the time period of the earth we are dealing with right now, right? Start verse 21 over.
And it was now 270 years between the time Yatsakad and Kavah passed through the oaks of Pathak, and when Moses taught Ikar how to plow.
We read about the Lord teaching Ikar how to plow in our last episode. That was titled Establishing Yard. So it was 270 years from when YASHAYA and Kava walked through the oaks of Pathak into the temporal world until when the Lord taught Ikar how to plow. That's how long the earth didn't know how to plant seed and grow their own food. 270 years, right? Let's keep reading.
And that same year was the 120th year of Enoch. However, no man knew counting, nor the division of the years, and no man knew how old he was.
So in that same year, Enoch was 120 years old, but nobody knew them things right there, because Enoch had not yet established the calendar. So nobody was counting time in that way. They more counted time like using the seasons, you know what I'm saying? Let's keep reading, verse 22.
And it came to pass in those days that Ahayah was busy in his service to the Lord, and he went to the people of his wife Maim, and they lived far to the east in the high country, and she was a descendant of Kodesh.
We also read and discussed about Ahayah and Maim in our last episode titled Establishing Yahweh. Y'all go back and check that thing out. Let's start verse 22 over.
And it came to pass in those days that Ahayah was busy in his service to the Lord, and he went to the people of his wife Maim, and they lived far to the east in the high country, and she was a descendant of Kodesh, the youngest son of YASHAYA. And Maim went with him, for she was strong, and she knew all the ways of the high country.
Ahayah and Maim, a true power couple. Verse 23.
And it came to pass that Ahayah and Maim ministered to the people there. And the people of the high country were very shy. And they spent 2 years there preparing as many as would to gather unto the land of Maim. For there was much hunger in the land of the encampment of Kodesh. And the Lord showed great compassion upon the people there. For he had prepared a place in Maim for his lovely ones who dwelt in Kodesh.
The people of Kodesh were struggling. It said the Lord had great compassion on them because he had a place in Maim for them. The Lord has the same thing set up for all of us. Do you hear me? Come up out of her, my people, so that you won't be caught up in her plagues. Ahayah and his wife Maim are back in Maim's hometown, giving her people that same message. Let's keep reading. Verse 24.
And it came to pass that Maim bore a child there in her homeland, and they named her Ahayah, or that is to say, the daughter of the morning sun.
They named her Ahayah, which means daughter of the morning sun. You can find that in your concordance, H6079. H6079. They must have felt like a new beginning was coming, Verse 25.
Now the encampment of Kodesh was established in ancient times, and it was hard for the people to decide to leave it, even though they knew the Lord would guide them. And all of the people said that their old people would know when it was time to leave. And some of them were worried, because the land of Enoch was now in the lowlands, and all of them were accustomed to living in the high places of the earth, and they had been there since old times. And it came to pass that because of the ministry of Ahayah and Maim, and because the people there were in much want of food, it was determined that they would depart for the land of Maim at a certain time of the year, when a flower in the hills bloomed, and the people used the roots of the flower for food. And in those days Ahayah and Maim had returned home, and they knew when to expect them because of the blooming flower.
It was hard for the people of Kadesh to move around. The village had been there since an ancient time, right? The highlands was all they knew, but Ahayah and Maim was out there putting in work, doing the work for the Most High. They coupled with the struggle the people was facing in Kodesh was finding food. They couldn't find their own food, so they were persuaded to make that migration. But you see how they would determine the time of the year. They didn't have no calendar, so they'll say like the blooming of the flower. They knew what time of the year the flower blooms, so that's how they would tell the time, right? Let's keep reading though, verse 27.
Now remember that the people of Kodesh had never seen a wicked person before, like unto those who dwelt in the land of Toah or Kaliah, who were of the secret society of Seku. And their journey into an unknown land was very hard for them. And when the time drew near for them to come to Maim, Amaziyadad and his band went out to meet them in the way. And after they had traveled for some days, they heard shouts in the distance, in the stillness of the morning.
So the people of Kadesh have never known wickedness, especially the type of wickedness in Ahayah and Tawah, right? We read about Malu and her upbringing. She's from Kadesh. We read about her in our last episode as well. She's from Kadesh, and it told you in there she ain't know nothing about no wickedness. Good little girl. She knew about hard times, and we're seeing what kind of hard times her people went through, but they ain't know nothing like what was going on in Ahayah and Tawah, right? Amaziyadad and Malu went back to Enoch after organizing a time with the people of Kadesh when their whole village would head out to relocate to Enoch. When it was about the time of the year when the people of Kadesh were supposed to arrive to Enoch, Amaziyadad took his crew out to meet them on the way. Amaziyadad and his crew were traveling for a few days when they heard some shouting in the distance. What happened next? Let's keep reading.
And they hastened themselves forward. And when they arrived to come upon the people of Kadesh, they found that the people had been set upon by some wicked men of Tawah. And all that remained there were their old people. And they sat weeping and mourning. And the wicked had taken their people to be used as the substance of wealth. And the wicked fled northward into the hills.
Boy, that's cold. The wicked men of Tawah then came through and kidnapped all the old people. Well, all the people except the old people of the village. They kidnap all the youngsters, right? Amaziyadad and his crew pull up, and the elderly, they just distraught, crying, shell-shocked. You did. Remember, these people never knew any wickedness. It must have been a nightmare. Verse 29.
And it came to pass that Amaziyadad and his band pursued them hotly. And the men of Tawah did not know they were being pursued. And it came to pass that Amaziyadad and his band came upon them as they camped for the night. And the men of Tawah had bound their captives hand and foot, and they set a guard over them. Now, Amaziyadad and his band blended in with the Kadeshi, and they sat quietly by waiting in the night.
If y'all tuned into the last episode titled Establishing Yod, we read about how Amaziyadad and his crew specialized at going on rescue missions. So they immediately pursued the kidnappers. Amaziyadad and his crew had this amazing ability to blend into their Kodeshi. That means they were adept, very talented at blending into their environment. They could become one with their ecosystem, and so much they could go undetected whenever they chose to. So they creeped up on the kidnappers and stayed ducked off, hidden in plain sight. Right? Start verse 31 over.
Now, Amaziyadad and his band blended in with the Kadeshi, and they sat quietly by waiting in the night. And by, the guard fell asleep.
Got him.
And the men of Maim went quietly in, and they loosed the bonds of the people.
Look out, y'all. He caught them sleeping on the job. And the men of Maim went quietly in. Read right there.
And the men of Maim went quietly in, and they loosed the bonds of the people. And when they were nearly done, a child cried, and the guard awoke.
Man, that's cold. Verse 32, read.
And in this way, all of the people of Kadesh escaped, except some of the children that the wicked snatched up in their flight, as they made their escape. And the men of Tawah were afraid, because they were in the regions of Mahujah, and the land there was forbidden to them by their superstition. And Amaziyadad and his son pursued them alone, while the rest of the men and his band recruited the people and accompanied them to safety.
Ain't that cold, family? Amaziyadad and his crew almost had everybody saved, and the baby cries. Unfortunate, right? So the wicked men of Tawah snatch up a few of the children trying to get away and stay. And they take out running with the children. Amaziyadad and his son chased after the kidnappers by themselves, and the rest of Amaziyadad's crew took the people they saved to safety. Right? Verse 33.
Now it came to pass that when the people of Kadesh arrived, what would have been the joy of their arrival was wrought with sorrow because of their ordeal. And Kadesh, son of Yatsakad, was in their midst, and he was much revered by them, and he was very old, and his wife was yet alive, and she was with him. And the news of their loss was brought to Enoch and Edney, and Milu wept, and tenderly ministered to her relatives. And all of the people wept for the loss of their little ones. And the people of Maim prayed mightily for Amaziyadad and his son, that they might be the means to recover their children. And when they returned from pursuing the men of Towah, they brought them all, except 3 of the children of Kadesh. And they were never seen again. And all of the people mourned.
Man, hold up. Devastating, huh? Man, hey, y'all mash on the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. Man, y'all share this thing. We're in the book of Remembrance of Enoch. You dig? We're looking at the true histories of the world. You feel me? If it's your first time tuning in, y'all go into the beginning of the series, man. Check it out. We reading the account, looking through the eyes of Ben-Elim as he looked through the Urim and Thummim at Enoch and Enoch's time. Very interesting. Devastating. Amaziyadad and his son came back with all the children but 3. Enoch, Edney, Milu, devastated. Kadesh, the father of the village, was also present during the kidnapping. He was elderly at the time. This had to be very traumatizing ordeal. A very traumatizing ordeal. Who is Kadesh? He's the son of Yatsakad and Kava too. I believe he's the youngest son. We read about him earlier in this series as well. Wow. Just imagine they up here moving their whole community trying to come to Maim, to a better place, and they lose 3 of their babies. Gone. Never to be seen again. After most everybody got kidnapped. Bittersweet. You did. Verse 35.
And it came to pass that the grief of this was heavy upon Enoch, that these innocent people should be so set upon. And he began to fast before the Lord. And in his 12th day he cried mightily to the Lord, and he said, O Motza, why did not the Kadeshi warn the people of Kadesh of danger? Why did we not hear your word to go out to accompany the people before the men of Towah came upon them?
Enoch was sick, y'all. Enoch immediately went on a fast. He wanted answers. Why were the people of Kadesh not warned by their Kadeshi? Enoch wanted to know, why was the people of Anak not warned to protect the people of Kadesh? Enoch was fasting for answers. That's why the ancients would fast. For answers. You know the Lord gave Enoch an answer, right? Yeah, you know he did. It's Enoch we talking about. Let's keep reading. Verse 36.
And the Lord said to him, Now my son, that all of the Kadeshi consider all men, both the good. Know my son, that all of the Kadeshi consider all men, both the good and the evil, to be the objects of creation. Because my father Enoch said is there in their midst. So how can they distinguish to warn the righteous amongst the wicked?
So the Lord responds to Enoch. He says all men and women are the objects of creation. All men and women, the righteous people, the wicked people, all people were the objects of creation. So how could they warn one against the other? Interesting. Y'all chew on that. Verse 37, read.
And it came to pass that when Enoch heard these sayings of Moses, he knew that he must seek the Lord with all diligence. And Enoch sought to find what element of righteousness could be the means to protect the righteous and identify them to the Kadesh.
We are reading about the true way of the ancient people of God. Y'all pay attention to the true culture of Israel. Let's read verse 37 again.
And it came to pass that when Enoch heard these sayings of Moses, he knew that he must seek the Lord with all diligence. And Enoch sought to find what element of righteousness could be the means to protect the righteous and identify them to the Kadesh.
And Enoch sought to find righteous element. Enoch sought to find what element of righteousness he could use to protect the righteous. and show the Aral Kodeshi the difference between the righteous and the wicked. Enoch understood that he could use elements of righteousness to protect the people of God. Israel, we have that same ability. That is our heritage that we have been discontinued from. Y'all remember that scripture? They shall be discontinued from their heritage. This right here, Shabuah, right? Verse 38, read.
And it came to pass that Enoch lay by a fountain of water in the borders of the Aral Sea. And in the agony of his despair, Moses the Lamb drew near. And Enoch was comforted by his presence. And Moses said, Enoch, my son, come look with me, for I need you to help me. And Enoch stirred himself, and they went westward, and the Lord went with him. And they were high up to see the whole of the Aral Sea. Enoch was left alone, and he sought out a cavity in the rock to rest himself from his efforts to come to this place in the midst of his fast.
So Enoch is laying next to a fountain of water, fasting, sick, seeking the Father for a direction to go. And the Lord comes to him. Enoch immediately feels comforted. Bruh, telling y'all the Lord must feel like just a beautiful thing. You understand? Enoch been sick. He been down, distraught. 3 children gone, missing. You know he devastated in the mind. Moses come. He's immediately comforted. All praises to the Most High. You understand? Immediately comforted. Right? And the Lord comes to him and asks Enoch to come see something. Moses said he needed Enoch's assistance with something. Enoch goes with Moses to a high place where they could see the whole Aral Sea. Enoch was left there alone, so he looks for a little cave so he can get some rest. Remember, Enoch is on a fast when he made this journey. You know he tired. Verse 40.
And when he sat himself down, he heard voices from far back in the darkness of the cavity of the rock. And he was afraid, but the Spirit constrained him to remain there and to be quiet and listen. And Enoch heard the voices of the Dekedarshi and the voices of men. And they were speaking together of their plans for the Dekedarshi and the evil of men, to become the objects of creation. And Enoch was moved and he listened intently.
Ooh, man. Most of them brought Enoch behind enemy lines. Enoch was just going to the cave to get some rest, but now he is hearing the voices of the Dekedarshi, who are the fallen watchers. And Enoch also hears the voices of the wicked men working with said Dekedarshi, right? Y'all know Enoch was scared. What if they discover him where he at? But the Spirit made him remain there, guided him to keep quiet and listen. Enoch sat there and heard all of their plans on how they could become the objects of creation. The things Enoch heard shook him to the core. Enoch was paying attention, y'all. Let's keep reading. Verse 42.
And when he heard all of their plans, he hastened himself away from the cavity of the rock, and he returned to the place where he had been at the fountain of water. And he pondered and prayed over all that which he had heard for 2 days, and then he returned home. And the burdens of his heart were heavy upon him.
The things Enoch heard must have been super wicked. He immediately left up out of the cave and went back to the fountain of water. It said Enoch pondered and prayed over all that which he heard for 2 days. After that, Enoch just went back to the crib. The stress was weighing him down, y'all. Verse 43, read.
And it came to pass that they lay resting. He lay resting from his journey and his fast. And in his soul, he was crying out to the Lord to discover what element of righteousness will protect the righteous from the wicked and from the evil plans which he had overheard. Now Enoch and Edney had many children, most of whom were daughters, and their dwelling was always filled with happy sounds. And the children very much loved their mother and father. And as Enoch awoke, he espied Edney nursing a little one, while she sat preparing a meal. and she was singing, for she knew many songs from her father. And as she arose to pass by Enoch, he stood up to embrace her, and they fell down together for his unsteadiness in his fast. And the infant was in their midst, and they all laughed. And Enoch told her that now he knew that the element of righteousness was marriage that would protect the people of the Lord. And now he knew what he must do to assist most of the lamb. And immediately he was hungry, and they all ate together. And all of the children dearly loved their father. And Enoch was filled with the Spirit, and he was strengthened by it. And at the end of his fast.
Okay, y'all look at that. As soon as Enoch gets back to the crib, as soon as Enoch gets back to the house, the Lord eases his mind. Enoch, by watching his wife fulfill her creative purpose of being a mother and a wife, Enoch understood what element of righteousness he would use to protect the righteous and help their Kodeshi distinguish between the righteous and the wicked. Enoch was ready to eat after that. The Lord gave him the answer to his question. The sanctity of marriage is the element of righteousness needed to protect his people. Let's keep reading, verse 46.
And it came to pass that Enoch sang a new song to his children, and it was the marriage song that was sung in Eden, and it was sung like this.
So we're not even gonna sing that right now, but we got that song too. That song was heard through Young. You feel me? Awesome song, powerful song, and we're gonna be singing them type of songs soon in Zion. And before getting into Zion, because the Lord is restoring all these powerful things to us, like he restored that song to Enoch at that moment. If we are going to read, if y'all study these books, you're going to see that the Eric Kodeshi gave him that song. That had been a song. He ain't know it. The Eric Kodeshi put the song in his heart. So where is Enoch headed? Matter of fact, let's finish verse 47.
And this song was a very great delight for Enoch, and she waved her arms with excitement. And Enoch said to his little son, will you find my bag and bring it? For I go on a journey. And in the morning, he set out for the encampment of Nod.
That's where we stopping for the night. Where is Enoch headed? Do y'all remember? Nod from the Bible? Y'all look that thing up in your KJV. Nod. Another fire episode. What I like about these books is not just the message, but also the story. Y'all know, I know that there are books in the Bible, or holes in the Bible, contradictions in the Bible. These books are filling these holes and straightening out the contradictions. We're also hearing accounts we never heard before. So we learn what Enoch is going to use to protect the righteous, the sanctity of marriage. So, Ari, what was your take? What stood out to you the most in this episode?
Okay, well, what stood out to me was like how profound the simplicity of being a wife and a mother was to Enoch. For him to have been doing so bad from what he had heard in that cave, like it was dope to see the simplicity of Edney just being a mother be what not only brought him contentment but resolution to fix the issue. And I think it's crazy how the sanctity of marriage, men and women both being in their roles, is the foremost protection of these end times, but yet it's the main thing that's fought against. Right. Music, media, you know.
The whole feminist movement.
And so, I mean, even the red and blue pill movement is a divide and conquer strategy, if you ask me. That's right. Even though they have like truths to it. So, I definitely gather from this message that there is nothing wrong and absolutely everything right with embracing the righteousness that's found in ancient femininity.
100, real talk. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. As always, though, we pray this message was for somebody. Our praise is to CHAAKAMAWATH, which is the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kadas, which gives us all CHAAKAMAWATH. Our praises to Enoch, he said. It's our praises to the great I am loving kindness, Ahayah, he said. Our praises to most of the land. That's our Savior, YASHAYA. Remember, family, we gotta love the Most High with all our mind, all our heart, and all our might, and to love our brothers and sisters like the Most High loves them. See them like the Father sees them, and hear them like the Father hears them. Feel for them like the Father feels for them. It's your boy Peezee and beautiful Ari Amunah.
RealJudah.
Let go.
Yeah. And it's the start of a new beginning, something you ain't never seen before, you know? All praise to the Most High. Hey. Having too much pride, you can lose your life. Gotta put in that work, cause you're running out of time. Gotta use my gift, uplift my spirit. Can't receive the word if you don't hear it. All that sinning that you do, you gotta stop it. You sold your soul, what was the profit? We gon' keep going, never stopping. Gotta let us in, repent from all them sins, rebuke them demons, guarantee you
Look,
win.
they committing sin like a time stay, but they don't add no more, now they multiply. Sins like the doors on the Lincoln Continental 65. Suicide, I been sticking to you like a porcupine. How you losing on me and know it? How you get a meal and go blow it? How you make clean and go home? You act like they don't see you people watching. In public you sound good, but you just talking. You lied to yourself thinking you got options. It's all good until he gets the knocking. Reaper, I been preaching to the people all day. Hit the soak up, but it's the wrong way. That doctrine that you sipping on got you drunk as hell. Bombay, yeah, it tastes good, but it snuck up on you. Now you can't walk a straight line. All that knowledge, puff it up. I done seen it many times.
Having too much pride, you can lose your life. Gotta put in that work, cause you're running out of time. Gotta use my gift, uplift my spirit. Can't receive the word if you don't hear it. All that sinning that you do, you gotta stop it. You sold your soul, what was the profit? We gon' keep going, never stopping. Gotta let us in, repent from all them sins, rebuke them demons, guarantee you win.
Selling yourself for these girls and drove. We knocking down the door, you know that's for sure. Relighting these demons, you know we on go gas. When it come to Christ, we about action. Having too much pride, you get caught lacking. Satan be plot, so we watching his tactics. Gotta stay righteous minded, ain't no magic Houdini. When I'm out doing arms, you won't see me. No Aladdin, we ain't praying in genie. Healthy living spread, had no zucchini. Rebuking demons on the daily. Got the world looking at me crazy, but I can't go no to and fro, up and down pole go. You saying I changed, yeah I know. Cause one thing for sure, I can't sell my soul.
Having too much pride, you can lose your life. Gotta put in that work, cause you're running out of time. Gotta use my gift, uplift my spirit. Can't receive the word if you don't hear it. All that sinning that you do, you gotta stop it. You sold your soul, what was the profit? We gon' keep going, never stopping. Gotta let us in, repent from all them sins, rebuke them demons, guarantee you win.
I'm picking the lock, on a mission, you with it or not. Broaden your vision and witness the plot. Righteous and wicked, consistent collision. War in the spirit, these witches is ops. Like a wave compared to a drop. Cut them out, that's a fade from the locks. It's cool till they raid in your spot. Clean the money, invest in some stocks. Hey, get you a vending machine with snacks that bread to keep you off the block. Rather sooner or later, you gon' catch a tombstone, pitching them rocks. Bad batch catch a heart attack. Plenty ways you can die in the trap. They wired up in the lines of tap. MK Ultra Massive tap. Bet it all on the Father. Win, lose a drought, we be riding it out. We see what them diamonds bout. When the pressure apply, pump your brakes, slow down on that pride. New Jerusalem or the lake of fire.
Having too much pride, you can lose your life. Gotta put in that work, cause you're running out of time. Gotta use my gift, uplift my spirit. Can't receive the word if you don't hear it. All that sinning that you do, you gotta stop it. You sold your soul, what was the profit? We gon' keep going, never stopping. Gotta let us in, repent from all them sins, rebuke them demons, guarantee you win.